Well, back to one of our top stories. Now, lawyers for gold miners with terminal illnesses will begin arguing today why they should be allowed to sue. Well, let's unpack the story a little further with Alan Fine. He's a spokesperson for the gold mines, and attorney Richard Spoor, one of the lawyers representing the group of miners. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Morning News today. We'll start with you, Richard. What exactly is today about? What happens today?
Today is about the future conduct of this trial. We have about 100,000 former mine workers with silicosis. And this litigation is for them and on their behalf. The argument today is whether we can bring this as a single case that includes all the gold mining companies and includes all the workers, or whether this needs to be dealt on a piecemeal basis, one case at a time. The gold mining industry is arguing that these are thousands and thousands of individual cases and that they should be brought individually. We're saying this is a group case, all of these people need to be included, and that is in the interests of justice, and that is in the best interest of the workers, and in fact we believe it's in the best interest of the gold mining industry as well.
So what is the best outcome for you? What are you hoping will happen here? What are you looking for and asking for?
We would like to see the court authorize the matter to proceed on a class basis, and we would like to see a plan, a trial plan for the litigation of this matter going forward.
At the end of it, what are you wanting?
We want to achieve a settlement with the South African gold mining industry that achieves substantial redress for the tens of thousands of former mine workers who've been crippled by disease and who have never been fairly compensated.
All right, Alan, from your side, you represent the mines. Do the mines admit that they know, they are aware that these illnesses stem from the job that these men and women have done?
The mining companies will be defending themselves in this case, but I think the real issue, and the group of 7 companies that I represent have gotten together with a view to seeking a comprehensive solution to the issues of compensation and healthcare in the mining industry, in the gold mining industry. And that involves, in the first instance, working with the Department of Health to fix the compensation system that is not operating very well, and secondly, it involves working with government to transfer current and future workers to a better compensation fund, which applies to others. And then the final leg of that is, as Richard says, engaging with the claimants' lawyers to establish, as we see it, this is our goal, a legacy fund that will pay top-up compensation payments to eligible miners.
Okay, just clarify for me. So there is some form of compensation already in place. Something is running, but you're looking at how it can work better. And you are in talks, but not settlement talks, just to clarify that.
We're in talks, which we hope will lead to the establishment of a legacy fund with the claimants' lawyers, including Richard.
And you don't want to obviously see this go to court. I mean, you have been quoted as saying that you don't see how this would work practically, that this would be battled out in court. Why?
That's correct. And in addition, it's not in the company's interests, and we don't think it's in the claimant's interests to engage in a court case that could cost, perhaps hundreds of million rands in legal fees and go on for another 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows? That doesn't serve anyone's interests.
Apart from the cost, do the mines feel that they would lose, that they would end up paying more than what they would under the current arrangement?
The outcome, as always, in court cases is no one can be certain which way it's going to go.
Richard, in terms of the compensation that's already in place and how it's working, obviously it's not working for the people who
It's a totally dysfunctional system. It doesn't work, and the compensation is hopelessly inadequate. And it's been like that for decades, and the industry's been aware of it, and it's only now with the litigation that they've suddenly shown an interest in trying to resurrect it. And quite frankly, the interventions to date have been pitiful and have made no difference at all. But it's a serious matter for the gold mining industry, because if this class action isn't certified, and if we don't achieve a settlement, and if we come into a situation where thousands of individuals, and those will be the richest workers, the workers with access to lawyers, the workers with the best cases and the biggest damages claims start suing, we're going to see the emergence of a new business of litigating against gold mining companies. And the gold mining industry can't afford that. It will be like asbestos in the United States. It will be the end of the South African gold mining industry if this matter isn't dealt with and resolved. And the industry needs to come to terms with that. The shareholders need to come to terms to that, and there has to be a recognition that this matter must be settled on an inclusive, just basis, and it must be settled now.
Just to bring it home for us, Richard, tell us about the people that you are fighting for. Tell us about what's happening with them. What is their day-to-day life?
Your typical victim was 20 years old. He came from the Eastern Cape or Lesotho or from Mozambique or Botswana, and he came on the mines a young, healthy man. He worked there 17 or 20 years. He was dismissed, sent home, and he was crippled. He was physically injured, his lungs were damaged, he was unfit for further employment. He's lost 20 years of his working life. His family are impoverished. His children have no future. He is susceptible to tuberculosis. He contracts that disease. He gives it to his wife. He gives it to his children. Those rural economies are massively impoverished by the burden of disease and crippled men. The cost over the last 100 years has been staggering, running into hundreds of billions of rands. There's not going to be redress. We're not going to undo the harm that's happened. But we can do something for those who are alive today.
How many are alive? You said about 100,000 at the moment.
We believe there are about 100,000 who are alive.
Will you be seeking
today.
also for those who've left families behind, those who've passed on?
The law has its limitations. Proving that this person died of silicosis is challenging, where there are no medical records, no access to proper medical care. So it is challenging, and our concern is that the mining industry is contesting this today to drag the matter out. 4% of our clients die each year. It is a very, very high death rate. The mining industry continues to restructure itself. Already they've restructured themselves out of a great deal of liability. Big companies like President Steyn and President Brand, all these big Free State gold mining companies have gone. We're already 10 years too late. This thing needs to be dealt with now, and it needs to be resolved.
All right, Alan, just your response to that, and just listening to what Richard has described for us in what you're seeking to, with the legacy fund or the compensation that's already underway, how do you put a price to that?
South Africa is in a situation where it still carries many legacies of the past, and it is our responsibility to deal with those and to reach a solution that is fair to the former mine workers, but which is also sustainable for the industry, because we don't think it'll serve the interests of our economy, of our society, for the industry itself to be adversely affected, so that its sustainability is put at issue. But we do believe it's possible to reach a fair and sustainable settlement, and that is why we are in these talks, even as the court proceedings begin today.
You mentioned the past. Let's talk about the future very quickly. What are the mines doing now?
The mines have, over decades, the mines have been improving the quality of dust management underground. It is exposure to silica dust that causes silicosis. The quality of dust management has been improving, and that's why nowadays we are seeing it takes on average 20 years of exposure to silica dust before, on average, before someone contracts silicosis. It used to be far, far less than that. The companies have been working very closely with government and organised labour for a long time, setting targets, milestones on dust incidents underground, and there are constant improvements, and the companies are committed to improving that all into the future.
Okay, Richard, but like you said, this comes too little too late for many, many people. Very quickly for us, what happens if you don't get the permission to go ahead as you would like?
Well, then we proceed on an individual basis. which I don't think is in the mine workers' interest.